So good morning, everyone. My name's Megan Brown, and I'm an educator at the Bruce Museum. And I want to thank you guys so much for joining us for our first illustration workshop with Emily Curran. So I'll give you guys a little bit of an overview about how today will work. So I'm going to give a small tour of the exhibition Fun No Fun all around James Stevenson's artwork this morning. So that'll be about 30 minutes or so, and you guys will get a lot of inspiration, I hope, from looking at his winter stuff that he created. Today's workshop, like you saw, will focus on winter and your artwork and your creations. And also, I want to apologize if there's any loud noises. I'm working from home this morning, so if you hear anything, I apologize. You may also see or hear my cat, so I apologize for her as well. So thank you guys for your patience. And I'm gonna screen share my presentation with you guys and get that started. The one thing I do ask is if you have a question or you wanna share something, please raise your hands and keep yourselves on mute for me, just so everyone will get a chance to share or be heard without speaking over each other. I know it can be really easy to get excited and wanna share. So if everyone's got their supplies, they can hear me and we're ready to go, give me a thumbs up. Awesome. Thank you, friends. So I'm going to get started with screen sharing. And we're going to have a presentation about the exhibition. So like I mentioned, we're looking at Fun No Fun, an exhibition that's currently up at the Bruce Museum. And it's all of James Stevenson's illustrated artwork from his books, as well as the books that he himself wrote. And then afterwards, you guys will get to have a fun illustration workshop with Emily Curran, who will be teaching you guys about making your own illustrated stories. So if you're not familiar with James Stevenson, he was born July 11th, 1929, and passed away February 17th, 2017. In his life, he grew up in Croydon-on-Hudson, New York, and he also spent part of his time in Coscob, Connecticut with his family. And this stuff's really important to share with you guys to get you guys thinking about inspiration, because where he lived also helped to inspire him and the stories that he wrote. And one of the things to mention that he is most known for is his work with the New Yorker magazine. He was there for over 50 years, and he produced 1,988 gag comics at his time there, which is a lot of short stories in some ways to share with people. And his last cartoon that he made for the New Yorker was published in 2003, but even after that time, he still worked and did work with other newspapers and magazines. He was always working, which is something you'll notice throughout the works that I share. But the most important thing about him that I think is important to share, and I've sort of touched upon, is that he wrote and illustrated his own stories. And so that's what you guys are going to get to do today with Emily, is write and illustrate your own stories. And the thing he is most known for that he wrote and illustrated were children's books. He wrote over 100 of them, as well as illustrated, but he also did work with other writers and artists, and he wrote additional other types of books. Some of the artists you may know that he worked with included Judy Blume, if you're familiar with her books, and he did work with Dr. Seuss as well. So in particular, this exhibition focuses on his books, like I mentioned, the ones he wrote and he drew, all completely of his own volition. And additionally, the curators who helped bring this exhibition together from the archive materials from his estate, what they really focused on was the seasons throughout his books. So like I mentioned, some of that inspiration from where he lived, his family, part of that the curators think was the seasons really inspired him. So if you were to come into the space, this is what you would see on screen when you first enter, which is his actual desk with a jar of Skippy peanut butter. He really enjoyed it while creating his artwork. But additionally, as you move through the galleries, you would be introduced to different books he wrote and the seasons that occur in them. And one of the things I want to mention beyond that, in his books and throughout the seasons, he had characters he really loved that he returned to time and time again. And you guys will get to see a few today, And if we do future workshops, you'll definitely get to see more of them. Some of those characters include Emma, who was a witch who had her own stories, who has winter stories. We have Grandpa, who you guys will get to see today, who even has a young child, had a mustache, which is quite funny. And then the Worst as well, who has a bunch of his own stories. And the other thing I want to mention beyond just the seasons has an inspiration for him. His family, he had 9 children, so you can imagine a really large family, lovely seasons, and the work he did and the places he lived were a huge, huge inspiration. So I'm going to take you guys a little bit further through the exhibition and explain a little bit more about his work and how his process worked about. So Stevenson, like I mentioned, was always working. As he was working for The New Yorker and other places, he was also writing and drawing these own stories, which is kind of crazy to think about, because sometimes even myself, I have a hard time doing my own hobbies. But like we mentioned, seasons were a really big inspiration, his family. But another thing that he really enjoyed that prompted him to make stories were movies. And with children books in particular, that allowed him to create his own movie and be in control of everything. So he could draw the characters, draw the setting, write the plot, and make the things that happen in the story or happen to the character, he controlled it. And that's one of the things that I think is really fun in particular about his stories and his work, is how much he enjoyed movies and all of that inspiration, how it comes to life in the books. Additionally, he had different art styles, and you guys will get to see a little bit from me. I wish I could show you more, but we're focusing on winter. But particularly, he had 2 types of style. And one can be seen on screen right now, which was his first book that he published in 1977 under Green Willow Publishing. And that was Could Be Worse. And when you look at that style, he's got pen and ink. There's a little bit of light watercolor on it and very clear lines that define the scene, the characters, and the setting. But in his more personal stories, it's just watercolor, and that's really relating, those stories relate to his everyday life. So he helped to differentiate what stories were fictional, so just made up, and which ones related to his everyday life. And that's something you guys can keep in mind when you're working with Emily, is how you want to develop your story and your style and your artwork. The other thing I want to point out that you guys will get to see is he hand lettered his own stories, and I'm sure Emily will talk a little bit about that. But his handwriting is really unique, and in fact, his wife took that handwriting and turned it into a font. So maybe afterwards, if you guys want to type up your own stories or put font in them, you could use his font, for example. So I'd have up here 2 examples, like I mentioned, of the different styles of artwork that he would make. On the left, I have a shot from one of my favorite winter books he wrote, which is Burr. You see Grandpa on the sled with his younger brother, Wayne. It's a very cold, snowy day. Those are large mounds of snow that they're sledding down. But you see the ink that outlines everything. You see the characters inked, you see the watercolor for the colors, how light and delicate it is. But then you also see the thought or text bubbles of speech with his handwriting in it, which I think is just really delightful to look at and a really nice touch. You have a hand raised, Alexa?
Yeah, what font is it called?
That's a good question. I'll have to look that up. I know our curators used it for the text in our exhibition, so I'll get that to you. Sound good?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. And then to the right, we have a shot from his book, Fun No Fun, which is a book about his life as well. And so again, you see that watercolor, but when you compare it to the image on the left, there's no black outlines. Even the character doesn't really have facial details. So this is something, again, that you guys can think about when you're making your own illustrated story with Emily, or you guys can create your own style, what works for you. But this is what James Stevenson did. And throughout his career with those 100 books, this is one way you guys, if you were to pick one up, could tell the difference between if it was a fictional story or something more personal in his everyday life. So I want to highlight some of the sections in our winter exhibition, and I apologize that these shots aren't closer. I'll definitely have more pages that go into the books and some highlights that I wanted to share with you guys from the books that I really enjoyed that talk about winter that James Stevenson wrote. So on the left, you have an image of the covers for The Oldest Elf, which is one of the books we'll be talking about today. And one thing I want to point out that's a little hard to see in these images is touching that point on how involved James Stevenson was with writing and developing and drawing his books. So you can see above some of them, there's some text on it, there's text on the actual images. And one of the things that James Stevenson really cared about was being involved with his publisher and letting them know how things should be printed, what should be included or excluded. And in particular, in the center of that panel on the left, you have two images of Santa flying up into the sky with his reindeer. And that's a really good example of the conversation and process James Stevenson went through to change the story and edit those illustrations to tell that story. He was told that it needed to be darker at night and that the view he had of the sled was not the best view. So then that first image is the final image you see in the book. And that just sort of shows this process back and forth, how it wasn't often the first draft or the first image that would end up in the book. But I really do like this because it shows you the different covers, the way they change, and the same for the artwork in the book. And I'm sure Emily can speak to that, that sometimes you have to go back and adjust things as you go through telling that story. And then to the right, we have some images from The Worst's Christmas. And that's another really delightful story that has a recurring character that James was really fond of, who celebrates Christmas, but he really actually hates it. And the one thing I want to point out, particularly with these two stories and Burr, is how well detailed you feel winter in these stories. Like I've mentioned, Burr is one of my favorites, but you can really feel winter. You can see it snowing heavily. You can see the large piles of snow and all the different winter activities. And despite all this bad weather, how these characters still go about enjoying the winter season. And then here's another shot that has some of those images from Burr. And like I showed you earlier, you have the image of Grandpa and Wayne going down those hills of snow. There's a giant snowball at the bottom left-hand corner of this panel. And these are some of the images of the actual pages James Stevenson worked on to create his artwork. And like I mentioned, Emily will go more into those supplies, but as you work through your own stories, this is something to think about with yourself, the different tools you might be using to create these illustrated stories. So I wanted to show some of his books that focused on winter in particular. We have Burr, which I've mentioned several times, and that one follows Grandpa and Wayne on a really bad snow day. Then we have The Worst Person's Christmas, The Oldest Elf, A Village Full of Valentines, which features anthropomorphic animals. So animals that talk and move and dress and do things like humans. And those show up a lot throughout his stories as well. And I see, give me 1 second. I see someone has their hand raised. Can you ask me a question, friend?
So the Village Full of Valentines has anamorphic animals, and that's sometimes what usually happens in kid cartoons. They add anamorphic animals. I can't pronounce it correctly.
That's okay. You're doing a great job. Yeah, definitely. A lot of children's stories use animals, and a lot of James Stevenson's do as well. He's got a particular series called Mudflat, and that's included animals that talk and do different things. And I even really, as an adult, like stories with animals that talk, because I have a pet cat and sometimes I wish she could talk. So it's fun to read these stories and wonder what animals might do. But it was one of the ways he would tell children's stories is with animals. So then a few other stories we have is Unhappy New Year Emma, which I mentioned, Emma's the witch, who is a reoccurring character. And then just like I mentioned, Christmas at Mudflat, the Mudflat animals. So these are some of the examples of books that share winter in James Stevenson's book universe, all these different characters and stories. And one thing I want to sort of highlight when we look at them, going back to the first page and then going to the other one, we really get a feel for winter and the winter weather. There's icicles, there's large piles of snow, everyone's wearing their winter gear. It really makes you feel and see the winter season in that setting. So that's one thing for you guys to keep in mind, is how you want winter to look in your stories as well. So now I'm going to go into a little more detail with specific books, because I really love those examples and I want you guys to have some of your own inspiration for creating your own winter stories. So I pulled from Burr particularly for the first few examples. And what we have on screen is Grandpa. He's greeting his grandchildren, and they're just telling him they're done with winter. It's really cold, it's been awful. And Grandpa's like, guys, this is not the worst winter you've gone through. Let me tell you about a bad winter. And so it goes through the story, and we see a lot of comical or funny instances of how bad this winter was. So as we can see, Wayne is in the bathtub with a mustache as well, has a young child, and his family left a crack in the window while he was taking a bath. And down in the bottom, Wayne got stuck in the bathtub frozen, and his parents had to thaw him out of it. Which, when we think about that, even just from a small cracked window, that's quite funny to think that his little brother, Grandpa's little brother, Weenie, got stuck and frozen in a bathtub. I suspect that has happened to none of you, but I would be very nervous if winter was that cold and I got stuck in a bathtub. So that's something to think about as well, different ways you can share winter. It doesn't even have to be outside. It can just be an example of how cold it is. Another example in Burr that I really like is particularly when Grandpa decides to make a really large snowman to try to cheer up Wayne. At this point, they've been outside on a really snowy day. They've gotten lost. Wayne's a little scared and wants to go home. And then instead of something good happening, the snowman tumbles down. And like that image on the panel you guys saw, it turns into a giant snowball and rolls through the town, which again is quite comical to think about. And then here we have that giant snowball. We see Wayne and Grandpa get stuck in it, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and they're stuck in that snowball. And I just think these sort of instances of winter are really silly and help us to be playful when we think about winter. And then I'm going on to the next book, which is Worst Person's Christmas, which also shows really great examples of winter, but tell a little bit of a different story. Give me 1 second, guys. I need to let someone in. So as we go through the worst, he's sitting there and enjoying Christmas, and he's stuck in there being a grump. And that's the one thing that really defines the worst, is his bad attitude. And you'll see that throughout his stories. But usually by the end of them, he has a change of heart, which is always really delightful to see how that happens. So here's another really wonderful example of James Stevenson illustrating bad winter weather, or that winter weather, particularly with how much snow is on the ground and the snow and the icicles on the top of the worst's house. And part of the way we know that this is the worst's house is because he's such a grump. He's got those signs in front of his house that say, "Stay out, nobody's home," really letting people know that he does not want to be around anyone. But despite that, we see that we have a neighbor who's come up and offered to help him shovel all that snow. So you could imagine if it snowed at your house or where you live, that is a lot of snow, and it would take a lot of help to shovel it out. I think we all know that. And I'm sure if you guys have ever shoveled snow, it can get really tiring. So I really like that detail, thinking about winter in that sort of way. I see someone has their hand raised. Do you have a question, friend? Go ahead.
It's more of a comment. I never really did that because the snow we have like snow plows and they just like plow all the snow away.
Definitely. So that's one way to think about winter, all the different tools you have that might help make a snow day much easier. In the case of the worst, after the scene when he tells that young boy, "I don't need your help," his snow shovel ends up breaking. So he probably ends up regretting it, or at least I would if my shovel broke and I did not ask for help. So then as we move on through the story, we see two young kids come up to the worst, and the story's set in Christmas time, so he's telling them that they made this birdhouse for their parents and it's for Christmas. We see them wearing really thick winter gear, which again sort of tells us how cold it is in that world. But we also see the snow sled and all the snow around them. And these are just really wonderful things, I think, that help us to know it's wintertime in the story and in the setting. And so, much like the snow shovel or the snow plow that you guys mentioned, think about the different things you can do that you can use to help show it's wintertime. So, as we go forward, we move throughout the story with the worst. And one of the things I wanted to point out is the sort of funny bit where things start to change for the worst, but really illustrate the cold winter weather. So we see the worst slip on his steps, which sometimes when it's really snowy, we can tell that by the ice on the ground. I know I've slipped and fallen in ice before. And in this case, the worst slips. He falls on a winter sled, and because he didn't shovel his path, he sleds all the way down. He sleds past the young kids who brought him a gift in this story. And then he eventually sleds right directly to a neighbor's house that invited him for a Christmas party. And what I really like about this is how it tells a really fun story. It uses these really normalized and things we do all the time throughout winter to move the story along, and just all the different type of winter activities that we might engage with every day as well. And then here's the end of the story, which I think is really delightful. We see the worst looking quite happy. He does not look as grumpy as we first met him. And again, we sort of see the snow. The kids are standing on it. It's a lot of snow. We see the sled and these really beautiful details of winter. And then the other story I wanted to share is The Oldest Elf. And I really love this one because, again, you have a really clear view that it is winter with the weather. But the other thing I love about this story is at the bottom of every page, there are panels that illustrate the toys that the oldest elf made. And I think that's just quite beautiful and something you guys can think about as well when you create your story, is using those sort of details to illustrate and add more to your story. So right here we have the oldest elf, Elwin. Part of the story is he's been spending all Christmas season making toys by himself. And eventually he realizes it's Christmas Eve and he needs to get those toys to Santa. So we see Elwin bundled up in the snow outside. The snow's really coming down. We see footprints in the snow. And then again, we see one of the toys at the bottom that he's created, which I really, really love. And then as we go on, he goes out to go find Santa. He's going to the reindeer's stable. He ends up running into Blitzen, who Blitzen no longer rides with Santa. It's just too much for him. He's gotten a little too old. He's a little too tired. And so we see all this heavy snow that Elwin, the oldest elf, has to go through. And I think it's a really beautiful detail, seeing all of that snow, the snow coming down. And then again, that really lovely detail at the bottom of the toys. And then as the story goes on, Elwin realizes he's Miss Santa, but Blitzen the reindeer gets a really great idea, and he tells them, or he goes to Elwin and he's like, I think I can help you reach Santa. So the image we have here is Blitzen and Elwin going out into that really heavy snow, taking that sack of toys he's made to try to get to Santa. And one of the things that happens in the story is after Elwin speaks with the reindeer, he leaves his toys by accident. So it gets covered in all this fast snow that's falling and falling. And eventually they end up finding it because inside his toy sack is a cuckoo clock that goes off, which again, sort of using these really beautiful details to help tell the story, help move the story and get them out of these situations that could be trouble. And then eventually, as we wrap up the story, Santa and Elwin meet back up. Blitzen and Elwin are able to get and pass out all those toys and help Santa. And it wraps up really beautifully. So these are some inspirations that I thought would be really good for you guys to think about when you go and create your own stories. So, does anyone have any questions for me before we start and do any of the work with Emily about James Stevenson and his artwork? Nope. Are you guys ready to get started with Emily then? Awesome. So I'm going to pass it to Emily and she's going to get started with illustrating for you guys. Sound good? Awesome. Have fun, guys.
Okay. Hi, my name's Emily. I'm in this screen if you can find me. Today we're going to be doing a little, like a small illustration because we don't have time to make a whole book, but we're going to do a winter illustration today. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. I did an example for you guys. Just pulling it up. Okay. So you should see a page here with two animals, a fox and a rabbit, enjoying winter. And it says, on the first snowfall of winter, rabbit and fox collected snowflakes. So today, to help us like along with making our own drawing, I have a sentence for us that we're all gonna finish a sentence that I'll write it on a new page. And then I have 3 items that I want you to include in the drawing, and I'm gonna write all these.
Yes, it is.
Oh.
Gem time.
Okay, let's see. Okay, but here I followed my own prompt here, and I'm gonna start a new page here so we can see without the drawing.
I am registered in Montefiore, but sign me up.
Okay. So we're gonna do the same sentence. I'm just gonna write down so everyone can see it, and it's on the first snowfall of winter, and then ... meaning we're going to finish this. That's going to guide our drawing. So we know our drawing is going to take place in winter, and I chose an outdoor scene for the first one, but this can go anywhere with like indoor, outdoor. But from here, I do want you to, we are going to include 3 different things. So the first thing that we want in our drawing is going to be a character. Oh gosh. And this character can be a person or an animal like I did before. It could be an animal that's like dressed like a person, or just like animals how they regularly are. I love drawing animals. I love making them do people things because it's really fun. And then the second thing I want to include is a scarf, in which however way you can. And then for the third thing, I'm gonna switch it up a little bit and try to like make it fun, but let's try to get a cowboy hat in our drawing. I think that would make it fun. These 3 things could easily, I don't have the cowboy hat in my other drawing, but I did include character and a scarf, but left the random object to the end. So for this, I'm using digital work, but usually I like to draw on paper much more, and I use like colored pencils, paint. I love using pencil just to start drawing it and going over with color. I hope if everyone has their supplies and paper with them, I don't know if you want to hold it up or give me a thumbs up that you have supplies. I'd love to see that. Yeah, yay, okay. Yeah, and we saw from the presentation that Megan did, we saw James Stevenson's drawings, and they're really like, when it comes to displaying winter and characters, they're pretty simple and they really portray it very nicely with like not even a lot of color because snow is white, so it's hard to like draw snow. But he shows that it's snowing with the clothing and the items that they have. And definitely we get that with like the item that I'm requiring is the scarf. So that kind of helps show that it is winter. But so with the sentence, that kind of guides our drawing. So it should show that there has been a snowfall. It could be an indoor scene, outdoor scene. I think because I'll be drawing a new one with you guys, I'll probably go with an outdoor scene or an indoor scene to switch it up. But I'll use my same characters from this one.
I
And
hate to interrupt, Emily, but I think we have a question from Sarah.
yeah, go ahead.
What? This is Theo, and what program do you use for your art online or not?
Right now the screen you're seeing is my iPad, and I use Procreate. It's an app on the iPad. It's you do have to you pay like I think it's like $10 for the app, but it's not like Photoshop. It's easier to use, and it's really fun. If you have an iPad, it's probably like a nice one to get if you want to practice drawing digitally. It has a lot of pens, like my pens here look like I've used pencil and crayons and color pencil like I usually do, but it's digital. But this just helps me so you guys can see what I'm doing. But if you have an iPad, it's definitely worth it to look for some drawing apps because they're really fun. It's fun to switch it up like that. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Valerie had one.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
This isn't really this is more of a comment. I have Adobe Sketch, and it's
Okay.
another drawing app.
Yeah.
You can use a digital pen.
Oh yeah, that's really fun. Yeah, I love Adobe Sketch. There's so many different ones, and they all are like different program, like they have different buttons and stuff, so maybe it's hard to get used to them, but I'm using Apple Pencil right now too, like a digital pen on my iPad. But I love using color pencils mostly, but this just helps us so we can all see what we're doing. But yeah, it would be a good thing to like explore on your own and see if you like it along with drawing on paper. It's definitely less messy and less supplies. Okay. Anyone else have any comments or even just comments or questions? And
Someone asked to reshare the 3 parts of the prompt for
Yeah.
our illustration today, if possible.
Definitely. I have this up. We're gonna do on the first snowfall of winter. And then I finished that sentence in the example drawing page. I said, fox and rabbit collected snowflakes. And then our goal is to include a character, a scarf, and a cowboy hat. The character can be a person that you made up. It could be yourself. It could be an animal. It could be your dog your pet as a person. That would be really fun. And then just the scarf in any way, they could be wearing it. It could be somewhere in the drawing somewhere like lost. Oh, I see someone holding up a chicken. Are you going to do the chicken? Because that's really cute. Because that's a good idea. You could just use that to draw. But yeah, and then I'll go along with you guys. And if anyone wants to see me include something in my drawing, you can let me know too. Because that would be fun. You could see what I'm doing. But let's see. Yeah, and also if you've started already, great. If you have anything you want to show or share what you're drawing, or even just hold it up without this, you don't have to turn on your sound. That would be fun too, to see how everyone's going with it.
Someone asked to go back to your example drawing, if that's possible.
Definitely. Okay. This is, the example one. And for this, I used digital pens of what I would use if I was really drawing, which was basically a colored pencil pen, and then like a bigger chalk piece. It's called chalk pen, but it looks like it has the same texture as a crayon, so that's why I like to use that one. and it colors more space on it. But I mean, if you already have it out, I do love to use paint to color in within the lines that I've made. It just can be messy and more set up for something like this that we're trying to do just together and a little quicker than usual. But if you want to go back later after this, if you just make an outline today with like a pencil or a marker or pen, and then you can go back after and you could color it in on your own, that would also be fun. But I wanted to include color this time around. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay, I'm gonna switch and see. I'm gonna try to start drawing mine. Let's see. And like I said, I think this time I'm gonna do an indoor scene. And I just start with lines like I'm sure you guys are doing. So you'll just see me drawing along with you on the screen. But one of my favorite indoor activities, if I had one, I don't have a fireplace. I wish I did. But my favorite indoor winter activity is like getting cozy inside while there's a snowfall. And that's always really nice. And I think I'm gonna do that this time, but I'm gonna include a fireplace because I wish I had one. So we're gonna have one. And like I said, the pen I'm using right now is just like the pen is called like a colored pencil. So I am just drawing technically with a colored pencil right now. And then I'll go in and color it back in. But if anyone has suggestions of what they'd want to see in the drawing that I'm doing, I will include it. So feel free to turn on your sound and ask to put that in there because I definitely will.
I was just wondering what kind of pen you use, the actual pen, like not digital. What type?
Okay, yeah, the regular, I like to use Prismacolor pencils. I also use Derwent, which is another brand, but I love to just write and draw with colored pencil because I like the texture and how pigmented the color is. I do like to use ink when I do like maybe more comic work, but when I'm just doodling or drawing a picture, I love to use colored pencils.
And when you use ink, what kind of pen? Do you use like a felt tip?
Yeah, it's like they're like brush pens, and I could grab one and show you. There's brush pens which look like a felt tip or like a paintbrush, but they have the ink cartridge in it.
Oh.
Or like there's fine tip pens. This is gonna be weird if we can see.
Yeah,
but,
I'm familiar with those, but I guess the brush one, yeah, would be.
Yeah, the brush one. Let me see. Let's see.
It's okay. I don't want to interrupt you.
Oh, it's fine. I don't mind. I have all my supplies behind me, so
Great.
Everything is available. Like I did a class with the Bruce before we did comics, and that was in person. It was like a year ago or so, and we had some brush pens for that, and it was fun to share the supplies that I use.
Great, thank you.
Oh yeah, I see. So, oh my gosh, you can turn on your sound. I'd love to know what you use to do that. Are you using paint or markers?
Brush pens.
Oh, a pencil, nice.
Brush pens.
Brush pens. Oh, cool. Oh, I really like that a lot.
This was a gym inspired one, but not like for the winter one. I was just drawing it while the workshop was happening.
Yeah, that's a nice thing to do, especially when, drawing while you're listening to like a presentation or something actually helps you focus. So it's actually really nice. Yeah. And I do, since I get the James inspiration from it. I like all the colors.
I once did a drawing of Bob Ross while math was happening.
Yeah.
Quite a detailed drawing, but I had
Oh,
to
nice.
it was on a whiteboard.
Yeah, and when I was in school, I drew all the time during class, which for me helped me pay attention, at least, but I love doing that. Okay. If anyone has any questions or comments, feel free to turn on your sound and just ask it. Sometimes I can't catch when someone's waving.
I think someone asked you to draw a mouse with a winter hat in the chat.
Okay, oh my gosh, I don't have the chat up.
I've been keeping an eye on it.
Okay, I always, let's see. Okay, I found the chat. Okay, so we can definitely include a mouse with a winter hat.
So while everyone's drawing, I just want to remind everyone, if you haven't already done it yet, your workshop includes one of James Stevenson's books, kindly donated from the James Stevenson archive. If you haven't, please send me an email for one of the 2 dates I included in the emails, which includes January 18th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. or January 25th to 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Just send me that email when you're going to pick up your books, so we'll have them ready for you guys. So just a reminder, but keep on working. I'm excited to see what everyone creates.
It's definitely fun for everyone to draw together. I haven't had a fun like drawing together with someone in a while, so it's still fun that we can all do that. Does anyone want to hold up at all their progress? I'd love to see more. Okay. Wow. Okay, yeah, I love how everyone's are going. Let me see.
Mine kind of failed.
Oh no, I don't think so.
Well, the
Oh, no, go
dog doesn't look that good.
No, that's definitely, I don't think that's important right now. I'm also just like, you know, do like Megan said in the presentation, it took James, like, I mean, I think it's a part of any book artist process, but it takes honestly a few drawings of even the same page to have your final drawing, because you're changing things around, you're playing with the color of how you want to do it. Like, so this is like always a great base to have, and you're looking at it and you're like, okay, I liked how I drew this part and I liked this color, but I feel like it needs something else, or I feel like I want this character to be over here, I want more trees. So it's great to have that as the starting point and then going to the next one. It's a lot of work. Like, you always, I don't know, I definitely get frustrated when something doesn't come out the first way you want.
I've spent
But
more than a month on one of my drawings.
yeah,
It's not done, but
I totally understand that feeling. When it comes to like painting or something, I feel the same way. I probably will work on something like that for like a month. And maybe I'm not working on it every day for a month, but I'm coming back to it. Sometimes it just takes a while. It can just depend on the drawing, depending on how you're feeling. But it definitely doesn't, it's not wrong to take too long. It's okay if some things will take like 2 seconds, because it's just, that's how it goes. But
I'm
either
trying
way.
to draw this one like character thingy where it's just a circle head and it's fun to draw, but I rather draw other things. It's just fun.
Yeah.
Kind of the thing that I do, and then people like seeing the drawings, so I just do it and give it to people.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Like, I like to doodle if I'm drawing without thinking. I draw a lot of like ghosts, I guess, like a really simple ghost figure. And they look, I mean, it's just a doodle and it's cute and people like them. So like that's kind of like when I draw something people will recognize, but it's nice to have something you can do over and over and people do like it. Oh yeah, is that the face?
I just drew it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really fun. I do ghosts. I don't know if I'm gonna draw a ghost in this one though. Maybe I should.
I liked your mouse with the hot chocolate and the other mouse. I
Oh,
like
thank you.
so good.
Oh, thank you so much. I saw the mouse was requested, so I added another mouse.
We
Okay.
did get a question from Kieran if you've ever read Roald Dahl's books and if you liked his artwork in them.
Yeah, I have. Those are Road Doll's really good. It definitely is similar uh to, I mean, it's watercolor and pen most of the time, and they're really cute and simple, and I really do love Road Dahl's books as a story too. I love Charlie and the Chocolate Factory as a book. I've seen the movies too, but I do love the book. But yes, I have seen those. I like them. Does anyone else have like any books that they really like, children's book wise, or any drawings by authors they like, or other illustrators? I'm trying to think of who else that I like that you guys might know. Yeah, go ahead.
Dr. Seuss.
Oh yeah, Dr. Seuss is really fun. He does a lot with like really fun colors and shapes. And also his drawings are of things that don't even exist, so that's really great too, because it really shows that you can draw whatever you want and it will make sense to people. Yeah, we love Dr. Seuss. Okay, I just realized I need to start including my own items I required in the drawing. So I'm gonna put a scarf on one of my mice. And the cowboy hat, I don't quite know yet, but we'll get it in there.
Maybe a coat rack with a bunch of cowboy hats instead of coats.
That would make sense. That would be fun too. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna squeeze it in, I guess right here. I'm gonna have to use some erasing. I'm gonna fit more in. Definitely a fun thing with working digitally is you can erase much easier than you would drawing, which does make it fun for like trying out new things, because it does mimic actual drawing tools. So that does make it like really easy to start something, start it over, erase a little bit, and go back in. If you have the option. I haven't had a digital drawing tool for a long time. It definitely was only something recent. So I love to draw on paper and in my sketchbook most of the time anyway. And also like, especially with a sketchbook, and you can just start drawing on one page. And like I said, with this process, like have your idea and just keep going to the next page, redoing it, and then being able to see them side by side in a book is really fun. If you want to,
love doing that. I've filled out like 4 sketchbooks of mine.
yeah, definitely like you'll have a page that you don't like at all, and you're just like, I'm just gonna go to the next one. And that's how you keep filling it back up.
So we have a hand raised from Valerie, and then someone also said that they've written a lot of children's books but haven't gotten them published. So having your illustration ideas helps them as well. And what were you going to ask, Valerie?
So I'm actually just drawing my mind out because I don't like to follow like subjects that I have to draw. I just like to draw freely because you're not being pressured on something that it's hard for you to draw. You're just drawing something that is easier for you to do.
Yeah, that's definitely a great way to do it. The little things I said to have in the drawing are very loose, just to help guide some people. Maybe like sometimes I feel like I don't have an idea and I freak out. So sometimes having a guide of just like, hey, include a cowboy hat. I'm like, oh, then it guides the rest of my drawing. But drawing from your mind is great, and it's really fun to get your imagination on paper. So I love that you're doing that, and that's great. Do you have anything like you want to share from your drawing? Like what?
I'm not done yet,
Okay.
but I'm not that good at drawing, so please don't judge me if my drawing looks like a person that doesn't know how to draw, because I don't really draw often.
No, that's totally fine. You don't have to draw often to draw or be a good artist. There is nothing there are no rules about that. I know plenty of art. Everyone has such a different style, and I don't honestly believe there's no like good or bad drawing technically, because as you like see how other artists draw, it's just so different. And it's okay to pull inspiration from other artists to help you like develop your own style and help you learn how to draw certain things. Like, oh my gosh, I can't draw a person for the life of me, like I can't do it. So then I would look at a cartoon or a comic book, and I would copy a page or a character, and then that helps you get started to be like, okay, now I kind of understand how they drew the person's arms and legs. So maybe I could do it like on my own this time with my own person. So we could always do that too. Like, that's great. Like, even just copying a page from a children's book to have like just a setting to draw around, and then maybe like the page is there and you take out one person and you put your own little person in there. That's fun too. And then it's like changing it. Okay, I see the chat. I'm gonna go there. How did you decide how far away to put the line between the two mice? Do you mean like this? Where's this one here? Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to make a carpet. And sometimes I, instead of like making every line connect like this or this, I like to put gaps between the two items, and my mice, I guess, are my focal points. They're my characters. So I don't want these lines to like interrupt them really, because it might get confusing. So I'm having the line just like stop right before it hits my character, like what they're doing. And it just stops, but it still reads, I think, as a carpet. Like if I add a design on the carpet, I think I would still, I don't know, like not go completely up against the mice. I would keep it like to go around them. And that would be a carpet. But when I color it, it probably will do the same thing, because I like not go completely up against the mice. I haven't gotten to coloring yet, but that's why I do that with the lines. I just don't like the line to touch the thing right away. Oh, I see some people holding theirs up.
I
Yeah.
failed.
No, not failed.
I had a mind block, so I just threw.
Yeah. I'm trying to see how I make everyone's screens bigger.
And then there's their leader.
What was the second part of the sentence? I couldn't read it.
A dog lays by the fireplace. That's what my dog's doing right now, and they're just so extremely happy.
Oh, it's so
If
nice.
it's cold or there's like no sun, they just lie by the fireplace.
Yeah, I love when pets do that. If I had a real fireplace, I'm sure that's what my cats would be doing. But we just have like a little heater, fake fireplace looking thing. So it's.
I don't mean to interrupt or be the bearer of bad news, but we have about 30 minutes left of the workshop. And all I'd ask is, even if you aren't finished, even if you're in your initial sketches of stories, please make sure, I'm gonna ask everyone to share their artwork on screen just so I can get a screenshot of everyone's beautiful stories. But I just wanted to give everyone that heads up. And if you guys did enjoy this workshop, please let me know by email. You guys have my email to contact this, because if it is really popular, I'd like to get Emily to do more of these. So the more I know from you guys, the better, and we can offer this sort of program again. So thank you guys so much.
I would love to have some more of these done. Weekends are best for me because I work during the week, but it's a lot of fun. Thank you.
Awesome, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I see some other people holding up their drawings. If you did finish the sentence, I'd love to hear what you wrote as the rest of the sentence, or if not, give me a little bit about your drawing, because I'm trying, the screens, I can see them, but I'd love to hear what you have to say about them. So if anyone wants to say it, you can turn on your sound and go ahead. Let's start with Valerie.
Okay, so mine is like everyone's at home enjoying their time. I wasn't done exactly with the dog that you can see near the tree. I would draw it near the fireplace, but it's too squished.
Okay.
Between the couch. Also, I actually knew how to draw a dog, but I haven't drawn it in a long time, so now I'm not really that good. And I know a few people in my class who draw really good. There's Alyssa and there's Aria.
Okay, yeah.
Aria would usually draw mythical animals and just really cute animals in general. Alyssa, she knows how to draw like full humans with clothes on. And like all the details as if it's real.
Yeah, clothes are so hard. So that's, I mean, I love that your friends can draw too. You're drawing just as great. You don't have to compare yourself to other people though, just so you know. Everyone draws at their own pace and learns in different ways. Also, everyone has really different styles. But it looks great and I love your dog near the tree. So let's see. You could go ahead with your hand up. Your name isn't popping up, but you could go ahead.
Could I share the last part of my sentence?
Definitely, go ahead.
So it was on the first snowfall of winter, Alexa and Sarah created an enormous snowman.
Wow. Oh my gosh, there's a ladder and everything. I love that.
Thanks.
Is Alexa yourself?
Yeah, Sarah's just somebody I made up.
Okay, yeah. No, I like that. That's really good. Are you going to color it later?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you like to use to color?
I like colored pencils.
Okay, yeah, me too. They're definitely easy. Okay, someone else is holding up their drawing. You can go ahead with sound if you want. Let's see. Oh, I can't read the dialogue. The screen is always so, it makes it blurry almost. Let's see. Oh, I see you have, is that an elf that is included? Oh my gosh, yeah. That reminds me of the books that we just looked at. I love it. Yeah, that was really great. You did such a good job. I love the colors that you're starting to include. Can tell that it's winter. Oh, let's see. Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
All right, I got mine. I don't have any words for it. I just
Okay.
based the fireplace off of ours, and yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I like that.
Also, this is how I normally draw.
Oh, yeah, that's great. I love that character.
Kind of just a rushed drawing that I did in the last seconds.
Okay, yeah, I really like it. If you keep, honestly, you just keep drawing, and that's how you know, progress and things change, and you feel better about, more confident of what you're doing. So I really do like that. Does anyone else have any? Oh, I see someone down here. Let's see. If you want to turn on sound, you can. Yeah. Sorry, I can't see your names. They disappear.
So mine is a very kind of what happens in my household when the first snowfall of winter happens.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't read, it says on the if you can't read it, it says on the first snowfall of winter, there was chaos.
Oh no.
Since really, so I included the cowboy hat in 2 places here.
Yeah.
So I had some photos on the walls.
Okay.
Then I had this guy just dancing. Then a board game when you get really mad that you lost the board game situation right here.
Uh-huh.
Someone looking at the snow and someone with the scarf in the distance.
Yeah, outside with the scarf. Perfect.
Yeah, and someone just carrying a box.
That's really fun. I like how you included it of what happens at your house when it's winter. I like the random person dancing. I feel like that's great. When you get stuck inside, you feel like you just have to dance.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah, it's just I kind of draw in a cartoony style.
Yeah.
Or at least, like, I still draw stick figures, but I at least use the eyes differently.
Yeah, there's a lot of expressions in there. And I can tell how everyone's feeling. I can see the anger.
Yeah.
I can see the chaos. it's
Yeah.
Are you gonna try to color it later, or are you like leaving it like that?
I'm gonna try to color it later, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think you'll use, or what do you like to use?
Colored pencils, really, because
Yeah.
using acrylic paint is a little bit messy for me.
Yeah.
And watercolor, I'm just not really confident with. And crayon, it's more of a thing about when you use them that eventually they're super tiny.
Yeah.
I don't really like to use those kinds of crayons. So my preference is colored pencils.
Yeah, I like colored pencils too. Sometimes I get frustrated at how much you have to sharpen it after you're coloring with them for a while. But at least they don't get as small as crayons.
True.
Yeah. But that'll definitely be great. It'll work really good. Let me see. I'll go back to the chat because I see more. Okay, so speech and thought balloons. Yeah. So if in this one, if it's going to be speech balloons specifically, I would put those near the character speaking. So I'll do one right now by one mouse, and I'm going to erase a little bit from lines. Sometimes I would do like an actual bubble like that. Sometimes I just draw or write the words near the character's head and just have like a line going to their face. So like he's saying hi. And I'll just do like a line pointing from the word to their face to fill in this, if that fits the space better. But when you like do the thought bubble and make room for it and block out, you're essentially blocking out part of your drawing for the words that way. It definitely pulls the words forward and you'll see them better. Whereas sometimes when I write just like hi with the arrow or the line over here, it's harder to see sometimes or read. Maybe I would do that if the words weren't as important, like we're supposed to include a sentence in this. So I would put the sentence probably at the top. And then I ran out of room, so I'll do a comma and I'll probably include the rest of it right down here. Let's see. All right, we relaxed by and I'm gonna erase some of my lines. But a way to like now, like mine is all lines right now with no color. I would probably do like lighter color or even just color around where the words are, to leave white space around the letters so you can see it and read the sentence. But that works too. Sometimes you'll have a sentence on like a book page, and the characters will also be saying something, and people will include like speech bubbles or speech next to their heads. But sometimes it could just be something small, like a comment of what's happening. So I guess it's not as important as a sentence. So sometimes they won't do a full bubble to bring attention to it. But something that does make the words pop a bit more is if you use like, I guess, actual font over the drawing. I like to write my own words because it definitely matches the feel of your drawing, since it would be similar to your style. But definitely when you if you took a picture of your drawing and then brought that picture into your computer and just put words over it, then people would definitely notice the words because it's such a digital word over the drawing, and it's very different. So yeah, that's like a way to include words. Definitely writing them in is okay. I love when you show your handwriting with your drawing because then it really makes it look nice and very much yours. And plus, adding the words digitally can be a lot of work too. Definitely makes an easier process just to write them. Does anyone else have any comments or anything they want to share, or any drawings they want to share?
I have one.
Yeah.
I took up on your, see if I can do this with that. You can see that. Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on the first snowfall of winter, cat was lost.
Oh no, yeah,
I don't know.
oh, and the scarf is sticking out of the snow.
Yeah. And and found.
Oh, great. Oh, I love your cat.
That's like the whole thing there.
Yeah. I really like, did you use ink or a marker for the lines? Because it definitely.
A marker, yeah, and
Yeah.
colored pencil. I find the marker was helping to make it stand out more because I was finding with just the pencil, it seemed I wasn't able to get it to really kind of stand out.
Yeah, definitely. That's why if I were, I mean, using paper and then coloring on the paper, the marker would definitely help keep the lines around the color more so than a pencil probably would.
I guess some watercolor would probably help give some depth too, maybe, which I didn't do, but maybe
Okay.
I should try.
If you try watercolor, really like light washes with, even with pencil, you'll still be able to see the lines.
Mhm.
That's why I definitely, or if you use like a black colored pencil, you could still see the lines that you did before with the watercolor.
Mhm.
That's what makes it better than like, I guess, using acrylic paint or something that's really thick.
Right.
So
Right.
that's a good one for just filling in lines that you already drew.
I wouldn't mind any insight on how to draw animals.
Oh yeah. I definitely do like basic shapes, breaking it down into like, or I guess cartoonizing, like making them cartoony, because then it's like the shape, it makes it just shapes. It makes it a little easier to understand. I definitely do a lot of like, I would draw to practice, I would draw from pictures and not trying to copy the picture, but using it as reference and then doing what I said, breaking it into shapes. Like with the mice I drew here, their faces are basically like triangles with like big circles for ears. And then from there, I just tried to just make clothes to block out the rest of their body or not pay attention to it really. But I really like how you drew the cat already. So it's really great.
It was very kind of like, she's shaking all the snow off of her.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. And because it shows definitely your own personal style and way of drawing the cat, and which makes it so much more interesting than someone drawing a picture perfect cat. So if you keep practicing or drawing from pictures of animals the way that you can at least translate it to a page is definitely a great way to do that and to learn.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I guess I didn't get close to coloring yet either. I gotta probably start that. Let's see. Does anyone else have any other comments or things to show? Yeah, go ahead, Alexa.
I have a comment. So
Yeah.
for my snowman, I'm probably gonna use marker to make it stand out more than the color pencil for to focus on that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Like anything like I guess towards the snowman's at the very front of your drawing, and to show he's in the very forefront of your drawing is a good way to make him look bold with marker or pen or just darker colors. Will definitely make him stand out, and people know that the snowman's the focus. So that's a really good idea.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Okay. Also, the thing with the digital drawing is I can cheat a little and go under my lines. So that's why it would be better. But if I went on the same page, I'll show you. Because there's something called layers, and I can separate different parts of my drawing. But this is my chalk color. And if I go, let me see. So it does cover my lines I just drew. So usually I would just go back over, but when things are digital, you can make another layer, which you can see here. which now it's becoming a Procreate class, but we'll. But to show you the drawing better, now I can just like color in my own lines, and I'm on a different layer, which is under my lines. So now my coloring goes underneath, which is definitely like a fun part of digital drawing is your lines don't get messed up. But if I was doing regular if I was drawing on paper with color pencil, it wouldn't. That's the thing with this, it wouldn't blur out my lines. I'd be going with my lines. Whereas with this, it always just goes right over and blocks them out. Whereas that's not really realistic with, if I was coloring with all pencil on paper, it wouldn't cover my whole lines completely. You'd still see them. But yeah, does anyone else have any drawings or anything you're adding or any color? Yeah, go ahead. I can't see everyone's names, but you go ahead.
So I did a little ginger man
Yeah.
saying, "Brr, I'm cold." I have my cowboy hat, and then I have like my little apple tree and my snowflakes falling on the ground.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I have some dead sunflowers.
Yeah, the winter apples probably aren't any good.
No, these on the bottom, they're all rotten.
Yeah, I wouldn't grab those.
These on the top are like better.
Okay.
I have my dead sunflower.
Oh yeah.
Dead sunflowers because it's winter.
Right.
It's not summer, and spring, so they don't grow. They just
no, they can't stay. And then they always fall over like that, like how you drew, like they tilt over.
They just like flop over, so I do them. And I can show you my mom's. My mom's did she did a big cowboy hat, and if you can't read the text, the pig is saying went hat shopping, like a cowboy hat, and he's wearing like a scarf.
Yep, the scarf is there.
He's saying, "I think this hat looks a little bit too big for me, because it's a hat. It says hat shop, and look how big the hat is."
Yeah, he could probably live inside.
This hat is way too big for me.
It's good. He would live inside of it. He does not need
He
it.
could live inside of it, but I like the pig that he has like his little red scarf.
Yeah, he looks cute in it.
And my mom drew the table where the big hat was, and then the big Christmas tree.
Oh yeah, I love that. And I saw the snow too, so it's still winter. That's nice. Okay, I see another hand up. You could go ahead. Sorry, I can't see the names disappear.
I did a drawing in my new sketchbook. This was earlier, like just when I got it, but this is it.
Yeah. Oh, that's really great.
Inspired by a song that I love.
Yeah, I love how you're including different skin tones, and the signs are great. So it's really fun to start. This is a new sketchbook?
Yeah.
It's a nice drawing to start off with. It's fun to have like a really like colorful one and one right there when you start. So that's cool. Okay, we're going to go to Alexa.
I started to add speech bubbles.
Okay.
So there's a girl down here, and she said, "Look at the giant snowman." And then the girl right here says, "I can barely reach the center." And then the girl up top says, "Same with me."
Yeah, even on the ladder. Yeah. I'm afraid of heights, so I would not be going up that snowman.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. I don't know how did the snowman appear? How did they get him so tall? Maybe they woke up and the snowman was there.
I don't know. Maybe I'll add that later in the book.
Yeah. Like if you continue it as a story, you could like explain maybe the mystery snowman, how it got there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I like your I like that you're kind of like I like your cowboy hats, I like that you have. I like that you have the like the gray that has the gray that's the mouse, and I like that he has hot chocolate, and I like the curtain.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I gotta continue
It's
coloring.
really good.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'll probably have to finish coloring this later too. It'd be nice to do today. Oh, let's see. Yeah, go ahead if you want to turn. Oh, I like it. You're doing mine too. Oh, I can't hear, but let's see. I don't think I can personally unmute anyone.
I unmuted Judy for you if that's
Okay.
who wants to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. I just did this. Thank you. I don't know, can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it. It looks great. I love the colors of the cowboy hats. They're fun.
So are
Yeah.
you a member of SCBWI?
I didn't know what is that? What does it stand
Oh,
for?
you have to join. It's Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators.
Oh, I think I've heard of it before, but definitely I'll have to look into that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I definitely will. Thank you for letting me know. I have definitely heard of it from a friend before, but it slipped my mind, but definitely seeing the shortened version. I didn't know what it was exactly.
Yeah, we have a chapter in Westchester, but I'm sure they'd love to have you do some illustrating, talk about illustrating, but it's a wonderful opportunity for you to show your portfolio. And
Yeah, I would love that. That would be so much fun. I haven't been a part of a group like that in a while, especially with how things are. But yeah, that would be nice. I'll look them up. I'll see if there's any chapters near me. Right now I live in North Carolina, so I'm.
oh wow, so well there's chapters all over the world.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I'm from Connecticut though, so that's how I know everyone at Bruce. But yeah, I'll have to see if there's any near here.
So I hate to bring more bad news, but we have about 3 minutes left of the program. So if you guys all want to hold up where you're at with your illustrations, just so I can get a screen view of it and look at everyone's wonderful artwork.
I can't see it.
I know, like the little screens are a little blurry, but
they are. Thank you guys so much for joining us this afternoon. Before I wrap up, just a reminder to make sure to email me one of the 2 dates for your books pickup. If it doesn't work for you guys, please don't hesitate to email me with any questions or comments or letting me know. If you enjoyed this workshop and want me to schedule more with Emily as we have the Fun No Fun show up. And we really appreciate your guys' participation with our first virtual illustration class. So I'll leave the space for you guys to ask any more questions of Emily or myself about the show. And thank you guys so much again for your participation.
Thank you for doing this.
yeah, thank you guys for coming.
Bye. Thank you. See you.
Thank
See you. Thank you.
Yeah,
See
you're
you.
welcome.
I love your drawing.
Thank you.
I love drawing with everyone today.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you, Emily.
Yeah, bye. Have a good day.
You too. Thanks.
Yeah. It's
Bye.
great.
Have a good week. Have a good weekend.
Oh, you too.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.